Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Collegiate R6. Tonight, we have our first Winter 2020 Premier Invite League matchup that will be streamed. It's going to be Purdue University Gold versus CGC UIC, the University of Illinois, Chicago. My name is Jays Wills, and tonight I am joined by the one and only Stock Anomaly. My man, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing great. I'm always eager to get some great siege, and especially some great siege between two very competitive rosters. These teams are on top of their game. They were both contenders in the Premier playoffs last season, so they'll definitely be putting up some good numbers here tonight.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. We have some frag heavy maps tonight, and we are certain to be in for a show for those of you watching this tonight.
Yes, we are. We're going to take a look at our map bans here. Clubhouse taken off the board early by Purdue, followed by Consulate. Looks like we're not going to see that one, as exciting as it can be. Coastline will be our first pick from Purdue. That is going to be a gunner map, and that's going to be surely in the favor of Purdue. Cafe, another gunner map coming up next. Theme Park and Villa gone. Oregon. No surprise to see Oregon as our decider. But you take a look at these three maps, Stock. It looks like it's going to be a frag fest tonight. We have got Coastline Cafe, Oregon. All of these maps definitely lean into the gunner playstyle.
Absolutely. With Coastline being such a popular map for those teams that enjoy fast, aggressive play, I am not surprised to see Purdue pick that one at all. With Cafe, that is a bit more strategic, so I think we'll be able to break down a little bit more of each team's play style, see what interesting strategies they have for us tonight in Oregon. That's always interesting to see, no matter who you put into it.
Well, I think you're absolutely spot on. And this is a perfect time to talk a little bit about the history of these teams and specifically what we saw from them last season. So we'll talk about Purdue first. They emerged out of the regular season 5-0, undefeated, going into the playoffs, the premier playoffs, as the number 2 seed. This is an incredible team. They worked their way to the semifinals, where it was Akron who they met and who took them down. No surprise there because it is Akron after all. But to work your way all the way there and to steamroll those teams along the way is quite an impressive feat. Purdue have long been considered the most, or up there with the most competitive collegiate rosters. So they are a team to be reckoned with. On the side of UIC, they weren't too shabby themselves last season. 4-0 regular season, nearly on the cusp of that undefeated record. Heading into the playoffs, 23rd seed, but got knocked out in round one of the Premier playoffs. The only point of comparison directly we have between these two teams would be a team that they both faced, the Ohio State University. Now, in the first round, it was Ohio State who were the ones to deliver the fatal blow to UIC, relegating them, of course, to the end of the season. Moving ahead, they faced Purdue, and it was Purdue that beat Ohio State to move on to the semifinals. So while you can't read in too much, of course, that is last season and it is, different circumstances, different teams, it does suggest, at least by the transitive property of siege, if you will, that Purdue would have the upper hand in this matchup.
Yeah, it is an interesting history for both of these teams, and having had the pleasure of playing against and with some of the Purdue players myself, I think we're in for a show tonight. They're a bit of an aggressive team, so I'm curious how UIC is going to handle that with these maps, especially on Coastline. So I think it's going to be an interesting show between these two teams. I'm curious to see what they both bring to the table and how they're going to end up matching up against each other. Hopefully, we've got an evenly matched fight tonight, and it'll be on the edge of our seats for everybody.
I think it will, but I do think we've got a little bit of an underdog story playing in, Stock. I mean, Purdue is a strong team, and I do think that UIC have their work cut out for them tonight, especially given the map pool we see before us. Coastline and Cafe, sure, Cafe compared to Coastline is a lot more strat focused. You compare Cafe to Villa, you compare it to Theme Park, you can even compare it to Oregon and Clubhouse. It is more gunner heavy than all of these maps. So a team with the better gun skill, and on paper it looks like that would be Purdue, but I'm not going to count UIC out here. We know that they can play well, and Purdue has countless hours of VODs prepared, and everybody can see them. So if they did their homework, if they studied up, this is very well a fight that they could win. But we're not going to waste too much more time, and we are going to get into map one in just a moment. Stock? All
Well,
right.
now
Okay, go ahead.
now that we're getting into this, I do agree that with this being a little bit more of a gunfight based map, I think that if I'm Purdue, I want to set a fast tempo right out of the gates, knowing that statistically speaking, we are the higher skill team. And if you can set a fast tempo, put your foot on their throats, and keep it there for that map, I think that's going to mess with the mentality of UIC here. But if I'm UIC, my mentality is I know I've got a strong team I'm playing against. We know we're the underdog, so to speak, in this particular matchup. This could be our chance to throw them off, let them know we mean business, and make this a serious matchup.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, like you said, their goal is to make this a serious matchup, and it is going to be tough. But I think they're absolutely within their rights to do so. Purdue has been beaten before, as teams have seen, as Akron has done, delivered twice now. But Purdue, I think, are playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder from last season. Not only, did things go unfortunate for them in CEA, but they met Akron sooner than they would have liked in both CR6 and Face It, the quarterfinals, CR6 in the semifinals. And I think Purdue is one of those teams who very well could have gone all the way against gone all the way to the finals and faced Akron had they not been put on the same side of the bracket as them. But you look at that and you could say, well, Akron was better than them anyway. They proved it earlier on. So, the outcome is the same. But Purdue, of course, will still be playing with that chip on their shoulders. They're still going to be ready to go. And, looking to steam ahead in winter 2020 season here and get some traction and get things going early.
Absolutely, and it looks as if we're having some slight technical difficulties on the side of UIC with one of their players backing out, but hopefully that will be fixed here in just a moment as we are rehosting. So that gives us a little bit more time to kind of break down what we think is about to happen, both based on, like you said, that chip on their shoulder from last season coming in and wanting to possibly turn the tides and prove them otherwise. See what happens in between these two teams here.
Yeah, and I think that you're right. This is a great opportunity for that, and I can actually pull up the Premier Invite League divisions right now and take a look at exactly where Purdue sits. They are in the Midwest division, and as is UIC, so it'll be Purdue joined by University of Wisconsin Whitewater, Illinois State, and University of Illinois at Chicago. Now, these four teams are in the Midwest division. We already had our first Midwest Division matchup take place. That was between University of Wisconsin Whitewater and Illinois State. Illinois State took that matchup 19-10 was the overall score line, so prevailing in that one. And Purdue will face Illinois State next week. So that is what we've seen in this division. There are, of course, 5 divisions, and we're doing a 3-week round robin in the Premier Invite League before our playoff bracket, in case you were not aware. But I think you look at the overall picture of this Premier Invite League, and I think it is going to be just fantastic siege. I mean, we've already seen some great matchups play out. We saw UTSA versus Texas A&M. That was a stellar matchup to watch. Not many people were able to catch that one, but just hearing about that one, it was an incredible one. And we also saw some blowouts as well. Akron over Virginia Tech, 14-1 over in the Northern Division. So not the way Virginia Tech wanted to start that one out. But really what I'm just trying to get at here is we've got a lineup of unbelievable teams, rosters that have, gone through the trials of collegiate siege, season after season, looking to prove themselves every single season. And there are some teams who are really looking to challenge Akron themselves. We saw UGA give Akron a run for their money just the other day in the Face It finals. We saw other teams like MTU, Michigan Tech. They did it as well. So there are these teams that are continuing to make a name for themselves, and I think that is why we are going to see just some great stuff this season.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I think that following the power rankings for the teams throughout, as we're watching these matchups, like you said, that matchup between Virginia Tech just getting blown out, that for any team, that is not the way you want to start a season, and that is not going to help how other teams are going into those matchups against you with their confidence. So I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of teams setting a fast pace if they're looking to either continue their reign as one of the top teams in their particular group, or if they're a team that's looking to be the underdog coming to make a name for themselves. I think that we are in for quite a bunch of surprises, a few blowouts, and definitely some neck and neck matches as teams are proving their worth within this season.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, it's going to be nearly impossible to predict who exactly is going to deliver that blowout. While you can maybe reason about that, but it's those upsets that I am stoked to see. I'm wondering, does Akron have a weak point? Does Purdue, does Texas Tech, do these teams have, a kryptonite per se that is one of these teams that we don't just know yet? Because any of these teams have an opportunity to shine when they face one of these elite teams that are, of course, ranked, in those top 5 spots in the power rankings. Anyone to take just a map up in a best of 3 against one of these teams is very impressive, and that's exactly how you start to make a name for yourselves against UGA, Texas Tech, Akron, Purdue, all of these teams who are up there. If you take a map on them, if you really make them fight for a win, even if you don't get the dub at the end of the night, I think it's still really indicative of the skill you can bring to the table, and I think it's a good way to start proving yourself and build that community awareness that you are a team to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And as we near the start of this first map, we're about to see whether we are going to have a neck and neck game, a complete blowout, and we're about to see truly the most important part is who wants it more and who is more prepared for this matchup.
Yeah, and on a map like Coastline, which we are getting into right now, I mean, we talked a little bit about it before, how this is a gunner-heavy map. It's a frag fest. This is where your gun skills shine more than your strategy. So we saw the ban phase already go down, and that is going to stick. We're not going to have to worry about that again. And of course, those bans are going to be Thatcher, Monty, Valkyrie, and Wamai. So nothing too crazy there. Your typical ban. Seeing the Monty off the table is pretty interesting, but not too much of a surprise. He is one of those common bans, but that does leave, at least on the side of the defense, because of that Wamai ban, it does leave Mira on the table. And Mira is one of those operators that can be powerful on every single site, on every single map, simply because not only the incredible amount of information that one of those black mirrors can have at your fingertips, not to mention the fragging capability, just quick peeking out from behind one of those mirrors, getting a couple of kills there, really powerful. And that's exactly what we're going to see Providence start to do for Purdue early on.
Absolutely. She is a very useful operator to say the least, and played properly can provide a staggering amount of damage to a team that is not prepared to attack her properly. On Coastline, from my personal encounters with Mira, whether it has been successful or unsuccessful, I think the most important part for this UIC team is going to be vertical play. Since it is a frag heavy map, like we've said so often here, if she's still left on the table to provide free information and a potential free pick for this Purdue team, it is going to be crucial for them to play this properly.
It definitely is, because like we've spoken about before, this is, a very Purdue favored map. We talked about it already. This is, of course, Purdue's pick as well. UIC leaving this one on the table, allowing them to go here, could very well be, the bane of this round. Of course, Purdue did lose to Akron on this map, but I'm going to chalk that up to Akron being the powerhouse on Coastline and not Purdue struggling. But we're only going to have to see as the round unfolds. We're already going to see this one get underway. Starting us off here with a little bit of a roam from Hangman, who's upstairs in theater, and a little bit of roam from Goose as well, although I believe that is downstairs in security. Kasu Kudo on the sledge, tossing those drones in, starting to get this roam clear mounting, hoping to establish this vertical control early, because that will be essential for this take. Oh, but the C4 from Mila will start us off big. Neon Tron gets taken down. Luckshot hits the floor as well. Kasukudo gets drowned as well, and one more. There's Hangman finishing Luckshot off a 5v2 as we get into round number 1.
Starting things out very strong and very aggressive. For those that saw Mila just first thing out the gates, jumping out of that kitchen window, and now in a 5v2, it's not looking promising for this UIC team. As I said before we began this game, this is a chance for this Purdue team to really put their foot on the gas and start it off strong, and that they do. Providence picking up Cosmo, and we'll see this last gunfight here, but no, Basher will end up picking up Hangman and Mila, finishing out Basher as he was knocked down at low damage. What a round from this Purdue team to start this map.
I think this is Purdue sending a message early. We saw Mila all the way outside in ruins to finish off the kill. Are you kidding me? I mean, the confidence there from Mila is just insane. But you start things off like that. How must it feel to be UIC right now? Whether or not they thought they had a lot of chance going into this one, that is an interesting way to kick us off, and not on the, what you would consider the primary bomb site as well. That was over on Blue Bar and Sunrise Bar. They're gonna be able to go to what is generally considered one of the primary bomb sites, Hookah and Billiards next. So that is a statement from Purdue. Multiple C4 kills, Hangman finding 2 before potatoing on the final kill, but it did not matter. The 1v5 situation was not going to bear much fruit there for UIC, for Basher on the Zofia. So they're going to have to try once again, figure out exactly what they're going to be able to do to stave off this Purdue aggression in round number 2.
Absolutely. For UIC, they are undoubtedly thinking that they need to step their game up if they want to hang with this Purdue team here. Mila doing tons of damage with those C4 throw at the beginning of the round. I think, like I said before, the vertical play for defense, they're starting off strong, sticking with the vertical play, going for C4s, and now that they know on the Purdue team that this UIC likes to go push for that Aqua balcony and clear from Aqua over, we're going to see a lot of utility being pushed over to that side to prepare for them to do the same thing again, which it's appearing that they're going to do that as we get into round number 2.
Well, we see Luckshot being very wary of a potential spawn peek, but nobody going to challenge him just yet. But Providence just setting up here in office. What is this setup? This is going to delay this vertical play that Luckshot's going to be trying to do with that skeleton key from below, forcing out those pink players in Billiards. But this is a strong position nonetheless. Basher, though, will start us off strong for UIC, taking out the mute of Mila. Now the C4 rains out. It will land on the Zofia, and Providence claims one for his own, keeping us even at a 4v4 now with just about a minute burned. Luckshot and Cosmo having a really tough time forcing out the Goyo. He snuck around to the other side, and he found Cosmo. Oh, no. Now it's Luckshot all alone outside. The fire will come his way. The Goyo shield finally being popped, but now this is a tough position. He's done his job. All he has to do, continue to play this time, whittle the clock away, and Purdue will likely have another round.
Like you said, it is a very interesting position to play, but it paid off for that Purdue team. I mean, he spent a minute and 10 seconds of this UIC's time just keeping them away from his spot, forcing them to burn util in order to get him out. And he didn't take all that much damage, only by half of his health as he rotates out of that position. With a minute and 15 left on the clock, I'm curious to see how this UIC team is going to counter their player being down. It looks like they're making their way over in a couple different directions. Kasukudo and Luckshot both managing to work their way over into VIP and Theater, trying to set up a multi-pronged push here, trying to get some picks along the way, as they are going to take some damage. That's Kasukudo taking about half of his health as a C4 comes out from, I believe, Goose Smitty.
The intel game from Purdue here is frankly extremely impressive, given that there's no Maestro, no Mozzie, no Valkyrie in play. They seem to just know and C4 and play vertical. Providence with the vertical play on the Luckshot. Another kill raining out from Hangman And once again, the 1v4 situation rears its ugly head, but so will Goose, and he will take the head of Neontron. Purdue with a decisive second round in a row.
You got to hand it to this Purdue team. They indeed kept their foot on the gas, not sacrificing all that much of their health or players in order to get these picks on UIC. It is an absolutely spectacular display of vertical play as well. Like you said, these C4s are doing a ton of damage against this Illinois-Chicago team. Lots of vertical play. Operators have been picked. We've seen Buck, Sledge, and Zoe, and Ash also on this as well, with her newest addition in the patch of having her flashes taken away and subbed out for some soft breach charges. Plenty of opportunities for this vertical play, but we haven't gotten far enough in the building in order to see it being used effectively from this UIC team. So if I am on this UIC team right now, I've got to be thinking how I can shut down these aggressive plays from Purdue, which have been dealing so much damage to their players.
Yeah, it's this aggressive style of gameplay that Purdue are bringing out, but it's just, restrained enough. I would not call it restrained, but it's just restrained enough that there's no free kills being presented to the arms of UIC. I mean, they even if they're playing aggressive positions or flanking or getting something crazy going, they do it smartly. They do it with support from a teammate or with utility to support them. So right now, it seems that they clearly have something working for them. It's going well, so only time will tell if UIC can make the proper changes to get this one going. But now, over on Kitchen now, it is going to be up to UIC to figure out something. Now, what could work for them here, given that every single player except for Smoke is off-site? They could go for a more direct site push instead of going for your default vertical take. This could work better for them if they have the intel to know what is going on. However, if they opt for that regular take, they are going to face a lot of resistance from above, as not only do you have Providence wielding the Mira and those black mirrors, but you have some eager, hungry roamers to assist her.
I completely agree. I think that for this UIC team, it's going to be crucial that their roam game is tight and pristine, because if they are lacking in the slightest, they're going to suffer the consequences. And we've seen that from these past 2 rounds, is by having a slightly sloppy entry play, it starts things off very, very roughly, as these Purdue players are completely unforgiving with their play.
Well, we also have an Echo in play. That's going to be Mila bringing the Echo. Of course, Echo has now been released from his quarantine period, given the new season. That also marks the release of Zero, so I do wonder how we are going to see Zero creep into the meta, if at all. It's possible, but you never know. Teams always have this set lineup they've played all fall season, and coming into the winter with a new patch, it's going to be slow for these teams to make those adjustments and make those changes, because it really changes the way you have to play your team. Maybe you have to sacrifice some utility. Yes, sure, you gain some utility, maybe intel and some frag grenades on the end of Zero, but what are you going to lose in return? You have to look at the opportunity cost of bringing these new operators, especially when your strats have been so well established. But if you have what it takes to, remake some strats, rework them just a little bit, maybe you can really play that to your advantage, especially because some teams may simply just not be ready to deal with that change in the meta. Now the vertical take has gone down successfully, as all of Purdue, or at least most of Purdue, have backed off, played a bit more passive, but with a minute 40, now 45 seconds left in this round, it is the advantage well in the hands of Purdue. Basher tries to dent that just a little bit, taking down Providence. Poseidon does answer back with the M590. Oh, the vertical swing from Poseidon with the SMG-11 finds one on a Kasukudo, and now with 30 seconds left, this Execute's going to need to find some traction.
We're going to see shots exchange very briefly between Hangman over there in pink, and this vertical play has been nothing but chaotic as we move into the last 15 sounds of this round. Poseidon finding yet a third one onto Luckshot. Basher now picking up Hangman as they're pressuring sight from this UIC team. Moves in, Poseidon picking up Neontron. Basher getting the immediate refrag as they're now in sight, and Mila finishing it off, getting his pick on Basher.
Well, Basher putting on display a little display of whifferoonie there, as we call it, but it wasn't too much of a deal in the end. He did find the shots with the pistol, but we just saw how suppressive those Banshees, those wub-wubs from the Malusi can be. The Zofia had ample time to grab the diffuser, albeit a very nearly impossible situation, a 2v1 with 3 seconds left in the middle of the open and exposed site. But ignoring that previous point, there was ample time to grab the diffuser and at least get the plant on the ground, but the Banshees that Goose Smitty brought to the table with the Malusi slowed the Zofia down, made it impossible for Basher to grab the diffuser and find any hope in securing that round. And that will take us to 3-0. Purdue continue their reign of terror and will now be moving on back to Blue Bar and Sunrise after a clean 1-2-3 rotation.
First glance, my initial analysis of this Purdue play is mostly delay. I mean, we've seen some very aggressive plays without a doubt from this Purdue team, but based on their operator selection, they're spending a lot of time making sure that this UIC team is burning utility, burning drones in order to find their roamers, and also making them play in a very cautious manner. I mean, these black mirrors from Mira are a sight of terror for any player that encounters them, and it can be a very deadly encounter if there is a person playing behind that mirror. And then, like you said, the Malusi Wubs have just been causing chaos for players across this game, as it not only slows you down, but it also impairs a bit of your hearing. So in order to burn this util, speaking of util burn, we're gonna see Mula. What an excellent toss out from that aqua balcony, picking up Kasukudo. What an excellent throw, not even 30 seconds into the round. Luckshot making his way over to that bathroom hatch. We'll see how they decide to handle this roam, already being a man down.
Well, as much as you want to give credit to Mila for the heads-up play, that was simply a mistake, and the first egregious mistake we've seen come out from UIC. It was the IQ who forgot to shoot the default cam, and Providence will make that pain even worse, taking out the sledge of Luckshot. Not taking out that default cam, especially as an IQ, the only player with a gadget to see cams, although the default cam is very visible, and the default one you're supposed to shoot out, is not the best way you wanted to kick off round number 4, trying to find some traction and bring this one back if you can. Considering that this map is one of the only maps considered potentially to be attacker-sided, this is not the way that Basher, Kasu, Kudo, and Luckshot wanted to enter round number 4, as Providence will pick up another.
Not only are they down another player, they are down the incredible amount of util that these players have for this UIC team. Shots briefly being exchanged between Cosmo and Providence upstairs, as we're now in a 2v5 with a minute and 10 left for this UIC team to successfully take control of the round. Not looking bright for this team, as they have suffered some very crucial picks. Zofia and Sledge with those impacts and nades are just absolutely unfortunate to see getting picked out. Cosmo taking a slight bit of damage as Providence begins toying with his food, but Mila will come in and finish off Neontron, as we're now in a 1v5 for Cosmo that will be finished off by Providence, hitting his shots onto the Ash.
Well, that is another brilliant round from Purdue. Can't say I'm surprised, though, given that they have found those 3 early rounds in a row, and now a 4th looking just clean, just absolutely clean on these rounds. And so if you are UIC here, you need to refocus, take a step back and figure out what they can possibly do to gain a round or 2 against Purdue. That was unfortunate that the entire statement rhymed just then, completely unintentional, but Purdue have looked so good, and you cannot afford to make even the tiniest mistakes, just like we saw in that previous round with the default cam shenanigans with the C4 from Mila really punishing that very early on. I mean, chalk it up to great play from Mila or simply the mistake from UIC, but no matter what you call it, it is Purdue up 4-0 on arguably what should be, an attacker-sided map, or what should be UIC with the advantage in this situation. So you take a look at the way we're sitting on coastline, and you have to wonder if things are going to get any better, or if we are just going to see Purdue take round after round.
It certainly looks that way, that Purdue will take round after round, sticking mostly with their same operator lineups between both of these teams. The main problem that I'm seeing from UIC here is a little bit too much of solo play. I mean, they're having operators that are crucial for entry play that are doing a lot of drone work by themselves. If you want to be able to get that entry person into the building successfully, put one of your support guys on a drone and have them follow that. Trust your teammate, trust the intel, and make your way into the building and get that util down. Because at the rate that UIC is moving, not much of anything is happening for them at the moment, with Basher being the sole player on his team to take down any of these Purdue players. The rest of them looking to pick up their own. Moving into round 5, I think this is where they can either mentally reset and move on from their mistakes, or if they let Purdue get further and further up the hill towards the victory.
Well, I think you're spot on, especially with your observation about the kills and the assists we've seen on the board. It really is that clear. Basher is the only one who's put up any kills on the board on the Zofia. Luckshot, though, will now join his teammate, taking down Providence. An early play working now for Luckshot, but now is the question is, how are they going to be able to play this man advantage in their favor? Now, with the vertical play coming out from Luckshot, he will spot one. That is going to be Poseidon, but the fatal shot's not delivered. He'll be worried about his flank, as now he is completely alone downstairs. No teammate to support him. Mila will now join the buck, looking for the frag through the soft wall, but it's denied from the beautiful Neon Tron shots from above. And now with 3 players down, a 2v5, a 1v5 as Kazukudo answers that one back, finds Poseidon, and just like that, UIC deliver the victory in this round with a flawless round of their own.
Spectacular work from this UIC team on that round, deciding to pick up the pace and match Purdue's aggression with a little bit of aggression of their own. I mean, we saw Luckshot in the building very quickly picking up the Goyo over there in pink behind the bar. I think this might have been the round that UIC needed. That could be their mental reset, knowing that, okay, we're not getting completely washed out. We're not going down with 0 rounds in our book. We're going to take one. We need to take some more, and we know we can do it. Let's keep the momentum moving.
Yeah, it's possible, you know, the momentum could now swing in UIC's favor, but that trick, that aggression, the pseudo rush we saw there from Luckshot and Kazukudo with the support from Neon Tron from the roof, a rush doesn't usually work more than once. So now Purdue, knowing what they're up against a little bit better, knowing that maybe there's a couple of vulnerabilities in this aggressive setup that they have going, that maybe the door is open for UIC to walk on through and start taking some heads, but they will have to pivot, they will have to adjust, but I still think Purdue are absolutely storming out ahead in this one. They will surely have a response to UIC, but UIC will have a response of their own. I mean, we saw Luckshot finally get the chance to play vertically with that skeleton key. No resistance provided in offices as much as last time. The Goyo shield and the whole utility setup did not go down in office. It just went by the wayside, and that allowed Luckshot to storm on in and get those vertical holes established early on. So now in round number 6, it's Providence looking to send a message early on with a Ruins spawn peak.
I mean, you also have to think in the opposite mentality that, you know, from UIC's perspective, that could be their mental momentum swing, that we got around, we know we can take them, let's continue the momentum. From Purdue's perspective, you also have to wonder if that was a switch to flip for them, if they had their eyes open, okay, they can take a round on us, we need to continue taking this seriously and make sure they don't get another round. So I think we're going to see how that plays out, whether it continues to be a blowout from this Purdue team, or if UIC decides to continue putting in a lot of work and making it a fight between these two teams. No picks yet as we approach the first minute in our round. UIC and Purdue just poking at each other, scoping out the grounds, and putting their toes in the water, so to speak, to see if they can figure out a point of entry.
Well, the point of entry for this attack appears it's going to be an aggressive hookah take now, as the first Happy Towel bolt will rain on in. It will now fully smoke, and the Candelas from the Ying will now go down. Full flash is Goose Smitty. He'll have to back off down the Cool Vibe stairs. Here comes Poseidon. C4 will not connect. Neontron can stick this defuse, but the vertical play coming out from Mila will not prove fruitful at all. C4 actually going to do more damage than it dealt. Basher now going to take out Hangman, keeping this one in the fight for them. Oh, the frags just pour on in. Purdue players getting felled left and right. We're going to have Kazukuda taking down Providence. Smitty with the response, but he will get felled as well. Now a 1 versus 3. Mila with about 5 HP to his name. This one is going to be easier said than done. The Claymore to halt this advance, but he has revealed his position. The early run out timer as well. Going to reveal that. He'll run up. Almost no hope now as every player has now turned to face him, and he will get taken down. Basher cleaning it up, taking down Mila, and UIC another aggressive early push. It actually worked.
It was a great push from that UIC team. Purdue falling victim to the trustworthy Ying Smoke Capital Plant combination, and I mean, it worked. It was a very unfortunate bit of fragmentation from that C4 that was tossed out onto the planter, knocking about 75 of his health off. That's got to burn you up a little bit on the inside if you're watching that footage back again, knowing that you were so close to stopping that play. But it was successful for that UIC team. This Purdue team losing yet another round to UIC as they pushed in quite aggressively for that plant. I mean, this could be a summation of the previous rounds where Purdue was sending so many players off site and playing very roam heavy. UIC might have taken note of that, droned out site, and seen the same thing that they saw those rounds before, seeing that they're not playing very site heavy. We can push in, we can take advantage of this opportunity, smoke it, toss our Candelas in, get this plant down, and now we're in a post plant.
Well, we will now be switching to the other side of the coin. The second half of Coastline now coming through, but 2 rounds from UIC. That's not bad. It's not a bad way to start. Maybe this is going to play out like a defensive-sided Coastline. You never really know. A map like Coastline really changes how it plays night by night, day by day, depending on the team you're playing against, your opponents, and how you're feeling. I mean, sometimes this can very well be a defensive-sided map. It just really depends how strong each team is on their respective sides of the map. So now in round number 7, Purdue, they have the responsibility to get things going. They are the ones who now have to put the pressure onto UIC. Hangman will start that by getting in through Sunrise, supported by this drone from Poseidon. Now this take coming down through. Something of a linear take. Looks like they want to clear out these vertical players so that they can get some momentum going and possibly use the skeleton key that Providence has chosen to bring on the Buck to get that vertical play up in the pink player and possibly go for that default Aqua take. Hangman now going to take a bit of damage through some random sprays here through that wall into mud. Neontron here now knows there's likely a player coming from the other side, but Hangman's going to be the first to get taken out by Luckshot. Neontron now looking for one, knows he's going to be pressured from this crossfire now. He'll swing out, and it will be punished. Providence would have had it anyway, but it was Goose Smitty who found it. Luckshot will have the answer, though, taking down Poseidon. So all of this action going down so early in this round. Still a minute 45 left to go, with now vertical control surrendered by UIC. Well, Luckshot's still persisting, swinging up very aggressively despite losing control of the area, and Mila says that is not a possibility.
I mean, excellent play so far from these two teams as they are fighting for the roam game very heavily, respectfully from both sides, as this Purdue team will lose Hangman and Poseidon throughout that venture. Past the halfway point, a minute 15 left in this round, left with Goose Smitty, Mila, and Providence from this Purdue team. Still plenty of vertical play to be had as Providence will further open up the floor, catching a quick glance of one of the defenders on site. But now we're going to see some pressure coming out from the Aqua side as Mila makes his way around that rappel, hoping to catch some picks and gain control of this Aqua side.
Well, this Aqua side pressure looks like this is where the plant is going to go down, looking for that Billiards plant, as Providence will support from below. There is a possibility that UIC can simply just play in a hookah and let that plant go down, or deny that plant from hookah rather, and shut that down from there. But Cosmo is actually looking for this pick on Providence, who is still looking for that vertical play. With that SMG-11 assisted by some soft destruction, he looks for it, but it will not happen just yet. But Providence needs to be ever so careful. But now Goose will reposition. Oh, it's Providence who actually delivers the blow onto Cosmo rather than the other way around. Became aware of that angle. Now Mila going for this plant. Basher looks to assist. He'll actually catch the Nomad on the side, and that's going to be enough to drop the diffuser down. Basukudo on the flank will find Goose, and it's going to be all up to Providence without time on the clock, though. It is going to be an impossible task. UIC will start off their defensive half in a big way.
Just unfortunate positioning for that Nomad planting behind bomb in the default spot, as Providence was just tickling the edge of Cosmo's sights as he was trying to counter the vertical play and remove Providence from the equation, taking Buck out there. But as we'll see Poseidon complementing that play from Malusi, just unfortunate timing, both with the Ash being on big window, not holding the rotation hole, Nomad being in the middle of the plant. Luckshot was able to swing out through and able to stop the plant. Just well played by that UIC team, as they were still 3-3 at that point in time. And Kasakudo coming through with that luggage flank. It didn't look like any air jabs had been placed down to counter that rotation, and it ends out working in UIC's favor.
Well, you mentioned unfortunate the way that one played out, but I really don't want to, undervalue how important that play from UIC was and how strong they actually played that round. It was a little bit of early aggression coming out from UIC, really committing to that vertical extension downstairs to Blue Bar offices and Sunrise. And then they played a bit more passive. Yes, they did lose some players early, but not only did they burn a ton of time off the clock, they got a couple of picks of their own, taking out 2 of the Purdue players. And that enabled them to then play a bit more passive, rotate back to site. And while the vertical play did come through and it did force them to move around, that passive playstyle really benefited UIC after starting the round off so strong with that aggression. And I think that is simply, goes to show that this team is a very mature team. They can play well if the situation requires them to, and they did that in that last round. They really had a textbook, roam extension, and then the maturity and the awareness to rotate away and not force the angle, not overstay their welcome there. But Goose is going to start us off big in round number 8, getting very aggressive with this Yana already. He'll see one player looking for the headshot. Will not deliver it just yet. I'm not sure what those shots were hitting. Looked like we saw the head, but obviously that's not always how it works. But Neontron going to get over aggressive, and Goose Smitty will deny it.
Looked like he was just catching the earpiece on Jaeger's headset there, and Goose Smitty has to be a little bit irked after that one, but he did end up picking up the bandit. As he moved in yet again, seeing Purdue with a very aggressive and quick entry, having that drone get sent in, also now bringing out Yana, which can also help with finding out information as to where these defenders are going to be. Grenade coming out to get rid of that Maestro Evil Eye, or Bubble, depending on what slang term you prefer for them. Cosmo having some pressure applied there, taking just a little bit of damage. And he will be finished out. Goose Smitty with an excellent grenade throw onto Cosmo. And they now have a clear A site over in Kitchen. Let's see if they're able to take control of this. Sending that Yana drone in just to check it out. Luckshot picking up Mila. Providence taking out Luckshot to get the refrag in return. And Basher taking out Hangman as he has regained control of Kitchen. Exchanging shots. Kasakudo getting a pick. Poseidon picking up Basher as we're now in a 2 versus 1. Poseidon putting the plant down in Kitchen, and Kasakudo rotating down into Courtyard, unfortunately being finished off by Goose Smitty.
Yeah, and actually a promising round there from UIC and Purdue both, actually. I mean, it started off so strong for Purdue with that early pick and early map control, but they got a bit complacent with that control, and UIC punished them for it. So not going to give that round to Purdue for free. But when the cards fell, when the cards were placed on the table, it was indeed Purdue who emerged on top. That aggression, that early aggression from Purdue, I think is what we're going to see in these next few rounds. I think they've discovered what works for them. And on the defensive half, it was unbridled aggression followed by a little bit more aggression. And on attack, the beginning half of that attack, it was decisive, it was efficient, and that is exactly what they're going to be looking to continue to do here. But UIC looks like they have promise now. They've gone from being completely shut out to having 3 rounds and only being within 2 of Purdue's lead right now. So they are very much within the margin that they need to get some of these rounds back. They just have to wait for Purdue to walk into their bullets. They have to be a bit more patient with it, a bit more passive with it, or find some balance in between, finding some adaptation that makes sure they can shut down an early rush, but also punish any slow play from Purdue at the same time.
Absolutely. It definitely was an interesting round between the two. Trades going out left and right between UIC and Purdue. Interesting placement of those bandit batteries onto that kitchen wall from Neontron. It makes me wonder if this Purdue team is going to take note of that. You know, I mean, if they decide to go for a lobby heavy push rather than going for their pretty typical and previous pink push, that provides a relatively easy control of lobby, getting that wall open, getting lines of sight into that area next to kitchen. You know, it makes you wonder if they're taking note of these particular strategies or playstyles by this UIC team.
Well, now getting deeper into round number 9, it does appear that vertical control is on the mind of Purdue. Providence going to work his way in, trading some shots with Casacudo, but he will emerge victorious, losing almost all of his health for his troubles. But a good start in this round for UIC. But now he put himself in a really tough spot. He is stuck in this bathroom, and the play from Hangman, the refrag, is finally secured, eliminating the oppressive Jaeger force. Luckshot will be on the castle role and will actually be a roaming castle. Not the most common role you see castle played in, but I guess you put your utility down. That's job well done. Now you can rotate around and look for some picks with the UMP. It may not be the best gun, but sure, you click on their head and they will die regardless. Neontron now in a very bad spot as well. He's stuck here in the bathroom stall as the floor above him gets completely Swiss cheese, but he will win that fight. Mila gets taken down unaware of the aggressing Neon, but he will indeed lose most of his HP, and the swing from Goose will deliver Neontron to his early grave, keeping us even at a 3v3.
I mean, Poseidon and this Purdue team making very swift work of the roamers, partnering up Hangman with Goose Smitty's Yana Gemini drones, just sending her right behind. It is a free intel, makes all the noise of another person, and as we saw, Casacudo did go 1-for-1 on his roam, but fell victim to the Yana drone plays from this Purdue team, as we're now 3v3. The last 45 seconds of the round, Hangman making a quick bit of work from that castle barricade on bathroom door, checking all of his corners as he makes his way throughout this main lobby. It looks as if this might be a very quick and aggressive take of site, as Basher is going to have his door shot down on service entry, hearing that Yana drone come out, having to retreat off of his position to stay alive. Grenades coming out from service doors, smokes denying entry for Hangman. He will take a little bit of damage. Shots exchanged between Basher, picking up Goose Smitty and Hangman, as we're now in a 1v3 for Poseidon with very little time, as he will be picked up yet again by Basher.
Well, a great win of that round for UIC. You got to give it up to that utility usage from Cosmo playing the smoke. I mean, you didn't expend your toxic babes until the last 30 seconds. Well, perfect. It's time to spend the rest of the clock denying all possible entryways for this attack. That is exactly what Cosmo did, and that is simply exactly why that round went in UIC's favor. I mean, of course, the Maestro delivering those 3 kills at the end was clearly the reason as well, but you add Cosmo in the mix, you add the gas canisters blocking the vision of the attackers and hurting them as they attempted to enter, and it was just too much utility for Purdue to really counter. And just like that, It is now 5-4. This is a position I don't think anyone expected UIC to be in at this point, but they are very well within the reach to take this map. It is not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. Purdue are only up one round, and UIC are on a tear recently. We mentioned the momentum swing stock, and I think you were absolutely right to point that out. It was 4 rounds in a row by Purdue, then 3 rounds by UIC. Purdue threw one of their own in there, but UIC quickly answered back. So right now, the momentum is completely on the side of UIC, and Purdue are the ones, I would argue, are on the back foot right now.
No, I do agree, and I hate to say it, but with the pace and the strength at which this Purdue team started out, I was very doubtful as to whether or not USC would be able to put up a fight on this map. But they have proven me wrong, and I have eaten my own words with how they have played this, and it is a neck and neck game as they have taken a few rounds in a row. Last round, I think that pick onto Providence very early on from Casacudo was a very crucial pick, as he has done quite a bit of damage to this UIC team and plays a great load of util for the vertical play. But here we are again, round number 10, Purdue making swift work of this roam play, as we're going to see an exchange between Providence and Neontron, who is now at 1 HP. And we will also see shots onto Hangman, who will take his fair share, going down about half health. I am in a very, very nervous mindset. If I'm a roamer on this UIC team, I'm being hunted with every piece of drone util they have. I also know they're utilizing Yana in these previous rounds, and they're not taking no for an answer. As we will see our first roamer fall, that's Hangman picking up Luckshot.
Well, it was looking so good for UIC up until that point. They had burned so much time off the clock. Neontron got a second life, escaping with 1 HP, but Hangman will gain that life back as well, also being at roughly 2 or 3 HP left. So definitely both of these players are looking to, try to make some impact before they get taken down to their graves, but that is, of course, going to be easier said than done, as they have no HP to their name. Neontron looking to position himself for a possible flank, making himself known in that manner. But that, of course, will have to come down later, as Providence will kick us off with more frags, removing Cosmo. The smoke from the board, the utility that won UIC the previous round, will now be eliminated with just 1 minute to play.
Now, as we're in a 5v3, almost a 5v2, with Neontron's very limited health, he has no room for error at this point in the round. Hangman, you can say the same for him as well, with them both being low. And as I say that, Hangman is now downed, and Goose Smitty taken out by Neontron, making very efficient use of what little HP he has left. We're gonna see a res going out onto Hangman, but this is a dangerous situation for this UIC team. Basher being taken out by Mila. Great shots from the Zofia, as they are now taking control of site. Providence going for the plant with 20 seconds left on the clock. Casacudo playing this very cautiously so as to not get taken out. Drones being taken out. Hearing the air jab, Casacudo taking out Poseidon. Mila and Hangman trading those kills out.
Well, the progress there from Purdue, it was methodical, it was clinical, and eventually, despite having a little bit of a hang-up there in the end, with Neontron delivering both 2 players down, or 1 player down but not out, and 1 to their graves, it is Purdue now who, after that, taking that round, will secure their way to match point. Going into round number 11, potentially the final round of Coastline, we will see UIC go for hookah and billiards once again. That unsuccessful attempt was characterized well by just the early picks from Purdue. Luckshot had a very successful early roam, I would add, getting a lot of HP dealt over to the side of Purdue, but he committed the worst sin as a roamer you could make, overstaying your welcome, and that is exactly what ended up bringing Luckshot to his early death and resulting in the disadvantage going in the favor of UIC. The man advantage, of course, swinging towards Purdue's favor once that execute started to come down in a 5v3 or a borderline 5v2. It was definitely tough for UIC to find that one back, but we have seen this UIC roam be quite successful. So they're going to have to find the right balance of aggression on the roam, but the discipline to back off and retreat to site, support your teammates, and stay alive. Because at the end of the day, it is much, much more important to play your life rather than play a particular angle or a particular part of the map.
Attacker's objective is to defuse the bomb.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. I think that balancing both the efficiency and the discipline of those roams has been a crucial thought for this UIC team on their defensive rounds. Hangman taking about half of his HP. I didn't catch where that one came from. But, you know, it's important for this team to make efficient use of their roam. This Purdue team, props to them. Last round, they made note of when this UIC team was holding hookah. They took note of that rotate. You saw Poseidon out on the big window rappel, making sure not to let anyone pass through. Providence making sure he checked that spot as well with Buck on the vertical play. And here we are again. A swift, surgical roam clear from this Purdue team, but Luckshot will come out on top as he encounters Providence, picking him up, putting this team into a 4v5.
Well, now Purdue will be on the back foot once again. Not to mention Hangman already lost about half of their HP during that early skirmish that we missed. But Casacudo on this roam is still looking to make his presence felt. He has not left this position yet. Still in kitchen, the drone still forced to go his way, and now Mila will be alone on this roam clear looking for the Jaeger. Will be supported by one drone, though, as Poseidon does deliver Luckshot. The Mozzie finally taken down, but Casacudo now being chased desperately by Mila, who will deliver the shots as Casacudo turned his back and made for the hills, but the hills will not come soon enough, and the Jaeger will be felled. So now a 4v3 as Hangman looks for another, but so far denied by Neontron. Cosmo now potentially working a little bit of a run out here from below in offices, but no attacker will be positioned quite in that spot that he is looking for, but they will indeed be in blue bar and be just outside this window. Goose now downstairs right where Cosmo was waiting for Goose to run into his arms. Hangman gets taken down to 1 HP, but Mila will finally take out the smoke. Now 45 seconds to go with UIC match point on the line. 2 players left to hold off this Purdue attack.
Tron and Basher both looking to keep the hope alive for this UIC team, as this Purdue team will yet again lose another. Poseidon getting picked up, Hangman trading that out onto Neontron, as Basher is going to make his way down below, I believe attempting to utilize this Purdue's vertical holes, but he'll notice that it's not on the default spot, as he's going to shotgun the Ash down, picking up Hangman, who was on very low HP. Mila taking note of this and moving on top of a protected surface. 5 seconds left as the plant is finished, leaving Mila and Basher in a 1 versus 1 with Mila protecting in the post plant.
Well, the 2 top frags now going head-to-head in a 1v1, but you'd argue Mila has more than the advantage, not to mention the better weapon and the time on the Zophia's side. Now Badger needs to get far more aggressive than he's playing right now. He needs to go and find this player, but it is going to be easier said than done, as Mila is, of course, on the rappel, but now teasing the diffuser. Mila is going to be now forced to peek. Mila will, finding Basher down about 20 HP. Now 10 seconds left. Basher's going to have to find this now or stick the diffuser. The kill will not come. The time has now run out, and Basher looking to pad his KD before losing the round, but it will be Purdue who prevail, despite UIC mounting an impressive comeback. 7-4, Purdue take map 1.
Very, very strong half from both Purdue and UIC on this particularly frag-heavy map. Expecting, albeit, not guaranteed, but expecting Purdue to take this very, very strongly. The UIC team managed to play a very, very strong role against this Purdue team. I mean, they did an excellent job countering that 4-round run from the Purdue team and turned it around. It was very strong play from them to come back from their deficit.
I absolutely agree, and I think we may end up seeing Purdue the victor at the end of the night. And if we do, I bet in the interview they might say, oh, we were just trolling in those few rounds. That's how we let them come back. But what we saw wasn't, them completely giving up their strategy. They were still playing the same ops, playing the same takes. And it just seemed that UIC, it was clicking just a bit more for them in that middle part of the map. But you look at the score line, 7-4, Purdue are the victors. And so that is what will characterize this map at the end of the night. But headed over to the second map, that's going to be Cafe. That is UIC's map pick. And they've shown that they have what it takes to take this fight to Purdue. So I think they will indeed put up a good fight on Cafe. But we're going to have to wait just a few minutes to see that. We're going to kick it to a quick break, but we'll see you in just a moment. Stick with us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after that first map one. If you are just joining us, it was Purdue's map pick of Coastline, and it could have gone either way maybe at the end there. It was Purdue who got out to that 4-0 lead, but then UIC answered back, and it ended out 7-4 in favor of Purdue. So they ended up taking their map pick, not to many people's surprise, but I think people were indeed quite surprised at how impressive UIC did look there in the mid game. They came back in a big way and they really took the fight to Purdue. But we'll talk about that a little more in just a second. Once again, my name is Jays Wills and I am joined by the wonderful Stock Anomaly. How you feeling after map one?
Definitely an interesting map, like you said. I mean, congrats to Purdue for taking their map home, but it was full of ups and downs, both for the UIC team and for Purdue, as they went on a 4-round heater to start it off, but then started sacrificing rounds to the UIC team, who ended up going on a bit of a tear of their own. And now, after map 1 going 7-4 in Purdue's favor, we're going to move into Cafe and see how they go on map number 2.
Well, we talked a little bit about Cafe before and how this is indeed what I consider a gunner map or a frag heavy map compared to others. But compared to Coastline, I think this one definitely is more strat focused. And so I do think the strat focused playstyle will benefit UIC just a bit more, considering what we saw on Coastline was Purdue really just winning their gunfights, especially early on their 4-round win streak. They really just won those gunfights over and over and over again. And it looks like UIC taking off the buck actually early. So that's going to be Providence. I believe that's Providence who generally elects to play the buck. And so no longer will be able to do that. On Cafe, the buck ban is definitely interesting. You definitely would think of it as a target ban, but the spots where buck can be quite effective is on three different sites. Then generally the three most popular sites, you can either take him doing vertical play to pressure kitchen from above in mining and train, vertical play above reading room when you head to your tertiary bomb site, or even some vertical play from below over on cocktail and bar when you head to that generally considered primary bomb site. You enter through reading room after clearing out the roamers on the second floor, and then you buck the floor below, forcing out the anchors, generally a maestro, holding that very strong position. So we're not going to be able to see the buck on board, but soft destruction will indeed be coming through by the sledge and the ash of Kasakudo and Cosmo. But the rest of our ban phase has been completed. Mira and Valkyrie, as well as Thatcher, no surprise, will be joining Buck in the trash bin for this map of Cafe.
You know, I do agree that the buck ban is interesting, but it does make sense. You know, after seeing Purdue how they handled their coastline play, sending Providence down below in blue bar to do so much damage and cause so much vertical destruction from beneath, it does make sense on a map that is so vertical play heavy and requires a lot of vertical play. Banning Buck, it does limit it to the Ash and the Zofia in order to provide the reverse vertical play to play it from beneath. And it also focuses them more on bringing Sledge, which requires you to get a little bit more up close and personal for that vertical play, leaving him more victim or prone to being picked off by a stray C4, or maybe even a bullet if the person plays it right. So it does make sense, and I can understand the ban, but there is still vertical play to be had for both of these teams here, as we will see both Ash and Zofia being brought out if they choose to go below, and also seeing Kasakudo picking up that sledge, and he can go above or use his grenades as impacts from below, which I'm curious to see how this UIC team takes attack as we begin round number 1 of Cafe.
Well, the vertical play will no doubt be the word of this round, as we're actually going to be starting off on reading room and fireplace. Generally considered the tertiary bomb site, however, some in the community say that this is the best site on this map, and they say it simply because that vertical extension from above can be so strong if done right. But the problem is, for young teams, this can be a very challenging site to defend. It requires extreme coordination, and coordination that will no doubt be severely impacted by the loss of Poseidon disconnecting early in round number 1. But we're through the prep phase. A rehost will not be possible for this round, so it will have to carry out. UIC starting it off early with a man advantage, enabling them to take top control early on. Luckshot not wasting any time with the G8. He'll swing around, look for the pre-fire onto Mila, but it will not connect. Mila now positioned behind the Vulcan shield that has brought us that utility, holding that C4, looking to find any traction. Smitty now backed off on that Jaeger roll onto top white stairs as the drone army pours its way down as this top-down clear continues to unfold.
Just off the bat, we're seeing a much tighter roam clear from this UIC team as they're going throughout Cafe. It could be the confidence of it being their map, but it also could be the knowledge that this Purdue team does like to roam very heavily, and roam they will. That is Goose Smitty getting the opening pick onto Neontron, and Luckshot also taking a little bit of damage. Goose Smitty going for his second, getting caught out is Basher to the bullet holes of Mila. Luckshot doing his fair share, taking out Mila on the refrag. Cosmo taking out Goose Smitty. Providence trading Luckshot, and Cosmo bringing it down to a 1 versus 1 between these two teams. Low HP, a dangerous situation for any Ash player is the 81 round Alda in the hands of Hangman on site with 40 seconds left. We'll see how he decides to play this one out.
Well, this looked like it was a free win for UIC with the man advantage early on, but it kind of went down the drain, and after some really good play from Smitty on the roam and some really good extension, that vertical play from Mila and Providence proving a bit too suppressive for even a tight roam clear from UIC to handle. So it's a 1v1. With the diffuser in hand, Cosmo will drop down now with 10 seconds on the clock. He knows roughly where Hangman should be positioned, but now the plant has to go down. Cosmo needs to stick this, so Hangman will have to get aggressive and swing, but behind the bomb chassis, Cosmo remains completely safe, has a chance in this round, looks for the shots, delivered, but no, not enough, as Cosmo has been dropped down. Hangman emerging victorious. I'm not sure if he knows Cosmo has been downed, though. He will look on through, playing this extremely patient, but little does he know that Cosmo has hit the floor and is bleeding out, waiting for the final blow to come in from Hangman, and he will do exactly that, giving him the 1 kill on the round and giving Purdue round number 1.
Defenders disabled the diffuser.
Well played from this Purdue team without a doubt, already being a man down, losing Poseidon as the round starts, unfortunately leaving them without the opportunity to rehost the round. But again, very tight roam clear from this UIC team, which is very promising against this roam-heavy Purdue squad. Excellent hold from above. I mean, that castle-mute combination has proven deadly to many teams throughout this season as they hold that second floor reading fireplace site, blocking off any hard breach attempts. Those mute jammers are unfortunate to get around also for the drones. And then Castle causing that Ash, Zoe, and Sledge to waste time and utility to open up those barricades in order to get lines of sight and access to the players that were above.
Well, it is Purdue who, despite that, back and forth round, did emerge victorious, and despite having the early disconnect from Poseidon. But Poseidon will spare us the pain of a rehost, and he will join the lobby right away, returning to his mute role. And now, resuming Purdue's defense, they will be transitioning to the basement, the kitchen area now, electing to defend this one instead of bar and cocktail. Some teams, in fact, do choose to completely avoid bar entirely. I'm thinking of some T2 teams who just despise the site and would rather elect to go to mining and fireplace instead of bar and cocktail. And well, I don't think that Purdue will have that in mind, no matter what the end of this round looks like, but I do think we will be seeing, a third site, bar and cocktail, as the third site later in this round. But so far, Purdue have looked clean. UIC had a strong roam clear, but they had a tough time dealing with the amount of utility devoted to that extension. There were Evil Eyes, Castle Barricades, Vulcan Shields, ADSs, all too much for Luckshot and Cosmo on that roam clear to really clear out on their own, despite the support of their teammates. So we're going to have to see if they can get that top-down clear a little bit more efficient this time, because that is a staple of your kitchen attacks. Top-down roam clear to get the vertical play from Train and Mining to force out those anchors from that site.
Without a doubt, I agree that this is a very important part of the kitchen site is the vertical play, and this is where we're going to figure out whether or not UIC is going to make use of their vertical play. On Coastline, we didn't get an opportunity to see much of it as a lot of their attack rounds were dominated by the Purdue team, just getting absolute tears and going on a rampage against their entry from the UIC team. So again, they had a tight room clear first round. Luckshot is already going to make his way into Train and is going to begin the soft breach and roam clear, hopefully making use of his gadget on site, taking out anything that might be in a position of opportunity, and opportunity is what will be taken, but from Poseidon, taking out Luckshot. That is IQ off the board, as Kasakudo will now be the main source of vertical play and dealing damage. He will, as he breaks his hammer out and starts making this floor into Swiss cheese.
Well, the vertical play is indeed coming out from UIC, but Purdue tossed a little bit of vertical play in on their own and got that early C4 kill. That was a staple of their defensive performance on Coastline as well, keeping up with their strategy of just letting those nitro cells rip and detonate any possible attackers from above. So now, losing that IQ, not a too big of a deal, but the fact that 2 drones is what she took with her to her grave is not ideal, especially with your drone utility generally lacking from everybody else but Cosmo. So this last second execute is going to be increasingly challenging, especially as this first floor extension from Purdue is very wide around the entire floor. You've got a bakery player, a coat player, a VIP player. So this is going to be very tough to actually get this execute going. The C4 from Hangman will not connect. Kasakudo remaining alive for now, but with 15 seconds left, it's going to be the frags have to come out from this attack. Basher finds one, Hangman to fall, Mila answers, but Cosmo will find one of his own. Smitty with one, Poseidon with another, and it is going to be all up to Cosmo in a 1v3 without time, without the diffuser. She'll have to find the frags, but it will be impossible for the Ash. Round number 2, firmly in the hands of Purdue.
I mean, we saw Purdue breaking out a strategy that, for those of you that keep up with pro-level play, that is a strategy for Kitchen Site that is all too common for many of those teams. Opening up that rotate into Freezer and playing VIP and Whiskey very heavily was a crucial part of that play. I mean, it was Poseidon getting a pick onto the sledge that was down that fell through the hatch, and it worked out very well. You know, there was not any play over on Bakery's side from any of the UIC players until the very last second, which ended up being the fate of some of their players. Yet again, being an excellent part of this Purdue team's defensive play. And we're moving into round 3, up 2-0 for this Purdue team.
Well, 2-0, the 0 going to be teased out from Luckshot, but eventually switching to the IQ in the 6-pick phase. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Sam Fisher get his first comp experience here in CR6. We're not going to see the 0 on the board, but we will see the staple of cafe, bar, and cocktail. And with Wamai still on the board, remaining unbanned, the pixel position is going to be the talk of this round. Hangman assisted by those Wamai magnets, those Wamai pancakes, and a couple of ADSs as well. That is going to make this position a hard one to clear out if you're UIC. Thanks to the Jaeger nerf and the Wamai slight nerf, there will be a change, though, to Hangman and how he has to play this position. He'll have to stall the time until the utility burn comes out, but then he'll have to either back off right away because the ADSs now, of course, do not have those 2 charges, the only 1 charge before the 10-second cooldown. He will then have to either back off or try to delay 10 seconds so those ADSs can recharge once again. But now in round number 3, we are going to see UIC. They're going to have to go for that top-down clear once again, but it is Luckshot who's opting for a different strategy here, looking like they're going to try to go for this bottom clear, possibly to secure that vertical play onto the cocktail site that we talked about pre-match.
Absolutely. We saw Luckshot holding vigilant while his drone clearing out each room, following directly behind, waiting for the calls on these roamers. And indeed, that pixel play will be important. But I believe the thought process here is to get Luckshot in position from below to try and get rid of as many of those magnets as possible. If they're out in the open, every bit of that floor, except for what you see on the right side of Piano in white, is a soft floor that can be shot through. And for Hangman playing that pixel position, he does have his shield. Luckshot finding Providence, who it looks like was sitting on cams. I'm sure he's going to remember that for the next rounds playing against this IQ. Mila taking a little bit of damage as well, as we're now 4v5 hitting the halfway point between Purdue and UIC. Mila being downed. I'm not sure where he's down at. I believe he's over in Pixel. Yeah, he's down over in Pixel. Hangman picking up the res, as he is now stuck at 20 HP for the rest of the round. Poseidon picking up Luckshot, taking the IQ out. Yet another for Poseidon. That's Basher. That's Zofia off the board. Cosmo getting a pick onto Mila.
Well, the picks rain on down from Hangman as the shot with the MP5X rather will take down Kasakudo. And now a 2v3. Neontron looks for the play on this pixel position, but takes down way more HP on his own than he dealt over to the head of Hangman, but he will take out Poseidon. Now, it is Hangman who's getting quite aggressive on this pixel shield with 45 seconds left. All he has to do is play extremely passive, and he can deny this bar plant using this soft wall. Smitty now will work his way up, sneaking around here in bar, looking for the prone angle. They know exactly where Neontron was. The red ping did land. But now Neontron will contest a position once again, but Smitty is ready. And now it's up to Cosmo. Once again, the lone player left alive in a 1v2. Shots come out. Oh, 1 HP left for Cosmo, but he will find the head of Smitty. Now a 1v1. Hangman with the advantage, the time on his side. Cosmo does not have the diffuser. Needs to make a play here, either the aggressive maneuver, but no, it's Hangman who denies it. And Cosmo finds his grave. Hangman finds the round win for Purdue.
Great play on both sides from these teams that rotate, being the fate of the Ash, as Hangman will seal the fate of UIC's third round against Purdue on Cafe here. I think what makes or breaks the momentum swing for this UIC team, while yes, they are tightening up their room clear. Yes, Luckshot did get a very early pick onto Providence playing the Echo, who I'm sure will be much more mindful if he sticks this pick going into round number 4, but he will 6 off to Castle. Those Echo drones, the patch that we just recently went through on Siege is that they are no longer invisible, but we still don't see the IQ searching for those cams. Yes, he did get the operator of the cams, but that is still intel for this Purdue team, which you saw at the end of last round pinging out the player laying prone in Cigar Shop, and it ended up getting them intel onto those last few players, which sealed the deal for the round in my personal opinion.
Well, that it did, but now the intel is going to come out from Luckshot, changing from the IQ over to the Zero. This can be a very effective pick. Zero opting to bring the Hard Breach secondary gadget to support the sole Hard Breacher of Neontron with those Selma charges. So that is going to be the way that UIC are going to try to take this round. But now that we head back to Reading Room, the focus of this round is once again going to be on how efficiently UIC can take control of this top floor. They struggled a little bit with it last time because they played a bit disjointed. We saw Luckshot pushing up all the way to Cocktail within 30 seconds, all on their own. And that is not what you want to do when you want to get this clear going. You know that there is going to be 2 or 3 defenders positioned upstairs to hold off this push. And that means even the lone swing of an IQ by herself is not going to be enough, even if you get a pick, to secure that side, because the defenders are playing close. They're playing their trades, and they will surely refrag immediately if you're not careful. And Luckshot, not wasting any time on that top-down clear, going to go straight into mining and has now snuck all the way into train room and could potentially mount something very special with the team here and possibly go for something aggressive on fireplace early on.
Absolutely, and mount something special, it appears he's doing, as a lot of these UIC drones are going to make their way into Fireplace, spotting that, yes, there are rotates and lines of sight, but this room is clear, as there are a lot of Purdue players upstairs. This could be a mistake for these Purdue players if they can't rotate down in time and hold this site properly. So hopefully, Luckshot, making use of his newly patched in hard breach, will open up the wall close to Fireplace. Purdue, I believe, has read their audible and is now rotating back down into position to hold for this Fireplace take. Approaching and passing the halfway point. No picks have been made, but it looks like we're about to see a little bit of action here up top as UIC is prepping their site flood.
Well, Basher now knows there is a Jaeger just waiting to get this pick on this white hall position, but Basher and Smitty in a stare down, not letting either one get this swing, but the attackers have the responsibility to force these players out, and they have not done that yet. Luckshot having jumped over a cocktail balcony, now rotating back down towards the reading room door. Hangman picks up the kill on the 0 with the ult of the headshot, opening us up in round number 4. 50 seconds now remain, and Basher still patient on this angle, but has to get going, and he will. Smitty, the next to fall. He knows where the position of another is, but down to 25 HP, he's going to have to be more than careful. Mila has rotated back to site. Neontron and teammate now with full control of this upstairs site, but Basher has been taken down by Providence. Casacudo looked for the shots onto the reading room door, but found nothing. Neontron now rotating around to support his teammate, but the intel from Purdue is extremely dominant right now. Casacudo finds one in the meantime, and the second from Cosmo. Now a 2v2 as Mila responds. Neontron, the flank from Mila. He will get taken down. Mila looks for the second with the pistol, but denied. Now a 1v1, and look who it is. It's Cosmo. Once again, the last player alive for UIC. The plant's going down, but now the swing, the aggression, but punished by Hangman, and Purdue will keep the momentum. Round number 4 in their pocket.
Yet again, Hangman sealing the fate of this UIC team with that Alda. Excellent trades going out from both sides. I mean, they read the play correctly from Purdue. It was excellent rotations. They put everyone back where they needed to be for that fireplace take. UIC making the call to go for a fireplace push, but it was for naught, as they ended up losing the round. Diffuser taken over to the reading side door in a hope to change the direction of the push. But yet again, Hangman bringing home another round victory for this Providence team. He has done a spectacular job holding strong on site and sealing the fate of at least 2 of the rounds for this Purdue team.
I do want to talk a little bit about what we saw from Luckshot in that round. And while the initial push into train room and mining wasn't punished by Purdue, I do think that that lone act is kind of indicative of what UIC are struggling with right now. I think they're playing as a couple of separate units. Maybe instead of 5 individual players, maybe they're playing as a 3 stack and 2 individual players on top of that. But they're just simply not playing as a unit, no matter how you splice it. I mean, we're seeing Luckshot go for some ridiculous solo plays that are not paying off. We mentioned how the initial cocktail clear coming out as the IQ much earlier in this map was not effective. It was a lone play. Last round we saw 0, all alone, sneaking up, droning himself in, all the way up to Fireplace, getting into Fireplace, but it bare no fruit. It was a dangerous spot. They didn't have the diffuser nor support from the teammate. So it was a complete waste of time from Luckshot to make that push, because if you get that intel, if you get that map control, what is the point if you're not going to do anything with it? I think Luckshot eventually realized that, rotating around to support his teammates, but in my opinion, it was a little bit too late. These guys at UIC, they have to start playing as a team. But here we are in round number 5, and this is where they turned things around on Coastline. It was 4-0. Purdue was ahead, and then UIC had a decisive and tenacious comeback that we could very well see again, but they need to start playing together as a unit, as a team, because after all, it is Rainbow Six Siege. It is a 5-man game, and you have to play as 5 if you want to get some round wins under your belt.
Completely agree. It was too little too late, but this is our opportunity to see if history will repeat itself for this UIC team going down 4-0. Let's see if they begin to go on a tear as they did on Coastline. Also, you can think in Purdue's mindset. We know what they did last time at 4 rounds down. A C4 going out dealing a ton of damage to Cosmo, as he will just barely escape that alive. I'm not sure how he didn't die from that. It looked like it blew up directly underneath of his breaching charge that saved his life. We're going to see now the challenge from Poseidon looking through that vertical hole, as no one was picked, but there was a lot of damage that was dealt. Vertical play making no waste of time as this UIC team just clearing out every possible bit of floor that is important for their lines of sight, as they're gonna look for any defenders who slack on sight, and slack they will, as Poseidon is taken out by Cosmo swinging the breach, putting them into a 4v5 with just under a minute left.
Well, is this the momentum swing that UIC found on Coastline? We have 45 seconds to figure that out. But Hangman and Providence on this first floor extension, they are going to be looking to deny the momentum swing. Basher, the lone player, now pressuring down Brown stairs. I'm not sure if he's aware of the amount of resistance he is about to walk into. He's droning it out, but I'm not sure it's enough as Mila finds one but goes overly aggressive, and Luckshot will punish that style of play. Now 3 versus 4, but still, the time is ticking away. The 11th man, the timer, is being a serious problem for UIC. Smitty finds the head of Luckshot, keeping it even 3v3. Basher now sneaking up towards the double door, as now Whiskey Bar control has been surrendered, but Providence is in position to flank this. He found one. Kasakudo now down. Smitty finds Cosmo. It's all up to Basher. The shots come out from Smitty, and they will deliver Basher to their graves. Purdue, round number 5. 5-0, they are not going to stop.
It appears as if they won't stop. I mean, there are some very basic mistakes coming out from this UIC team that are costing them players. That push over in Bakery from Neontron's Ace and Luckshot's Gridlock, they left the default cam up. The camera in Bakery was still up, providing intel team for this Purdue squad, and they were just feeding intel to Goose Smitty as he was just waiting in prep for the soft pings from that default cam, and I believe that got him 2 free picks as he just wide swung the small bake door, and that was it. As soon as Luckshot made his way in, Goose Smitty was prepped and ready to pounce from that prep.
Now, I do want to talk about exactly the way that round unfolded, because this is something I see a lot of attacking teams struggle with on Cafe, and that is your first floor attack, the top-down clear. Now, the top-down clear can be very effective, extremely effective when done properly. If you do it efficiently, you get control of the top 2 floors, and that allows you to open up a plethora of vertical holes. The Swiss cheesing of the ceiling on site makes it nearly impossible for the defenders to hold down kitchen safely, at least the anchors. But the problem with that strategy is if you overcommit to the vertical play, and by that I mean open up the holes and stare at them for the next minute and a half of the round looking for any hope of finding picks. Simply put, if you're not finding those picks in the first 30 seconds or 20 seconds of looking through vertical holes, it's not like the defenders are suddenly going to just walk into your line of sight knowing that it's been established. And that is why the first floor extension into VIP, Whiskey, Small Bakery, and Bakery can be problematic for an attacking team that spends too much time on the top-down clear. I think UIC did it perfectly on the 3rd and the 2nd floor. They got the vertical holes open successfully. They found an early pick as a run out now from one player. That's going to be Hangman, not successful. But they found that early map control, and it was simply not enough because the first floor had a lot of utility to clear. It had a lot of defensive resistance, and because the focus was put on map control and not on the first floor itself, waiting too long turned out to be the thorn in the side of that attack.
And that is Mila jumping out of the cocktail windows, finding a pick onto Luckshot. and it will go completely unpunished, only taking about 30 of his health away from that particular encounter. So, we're going to see how this UIC squad decides to come back from this man-down situation with the halfway point rapidly approaching. And it does appear that Luckshot has broken his monitor and is letting the Purdue squad know in the all chat. So it's clear that this Purdue squad is getting into their heads mentally. Speaking of getting into their heads, Providence will completely remove a player entirely. Goose Smitty doing the same, picking up Basher and Castle Kudo, respectively, as we're now in a 5 versus 2, and the 1 minute mark is rapidly approaching. Cosmo and Neontron undoubtedly feeling the pressure of this Purdue team as they approach the 1 player mark that will be finished off. Purdue, a flawless round, bringing it to the match point.
Well, Purdue is not going to slow down. They are sending it, and they don't seem to be stopping whatsoever. It is now 6-0, match point on the line, and it appears that a rehost will be in order. So we are going to get to show you our beautiful faces one more time and talk a little bit about what we can expect coming into this last round. But what we've seen so far is Purdue just having their way with Cafe. This is, of course, UIC's map pick. I would expect them to be a little bit stronger here, especially because they showed a little bit of prowess on Coastline, but it was not to be, as Purdue have stormed ahead, a 6-0 flawless defense stock. Do we think that UIC can mount a comeback on their defensive half?
For entertainment purposes, I would like to say yes. I would love to see a comeback. I would love to see them match the energy of this Purdue team and go 6 rounds flawlessly on attack. But this Purdue team has proven to be a very difficult opponent to manage for this UIC team. I mean, they have done an absolutely enormous amount of damage with their C4 throws alone against this UIC squad. I mean, Purdue, they saw that they had a 4-0 round lead on Coastline, and the UIC squad managed to bring it back and keep it close. And I think they saw that again and realized, okay, we're not letting this happen again. This is their map. We're going on this tear on their map. Let's bring it home. We're in their heads. We need to win this. Destroy the mentality, destroy the morale, and continue the aggression.
Well, I think maybe Purdue, like you said, a little bit offended that 4 rounds were taken against them on their own map pick, and well, they responded, and that's exactly the product what we are seeing right now. I think in that last round, the run out onto the Nomad luck shot, the one who reportedly punched his monitor, I think that once again, we talked about the solo play from Luckshot the round prior. While, of course, it wasn't the same situation, the rappel on the side of the cocktail side of the map isn't usually like you have to put 3 players there to make that happen, but it was Nomad. Surprised that he got run out on, especially because those air jabs can prevent exactly that. But the solo play, it's not working. The team cohesion has got to, just maybe, this rehost will be exactly what they need to recover. They have time to take a moment, take a breather, step away, grab a drink, get a stretch, talk it over with their teammates and say, what can we do to get a couple more rounds here? Because, they're trying to make a name for themselves, and to do that, you gotta show some prowess against Purdue. I mean, this is a tough team to beat, and it looked like UIC had a chance on Coastline, but so far on Cafe, the chance has not been seen. The prowess that we saw on Coastline completely shut down by Purdue thus far.
Absolutely. And as we are wrapping up these bits of information on where we think they can improve, we're going to take a quick break as this rehost is finalized. We'll be right back.
street lights lit this town like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Tonight, we gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we gonna let it away.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and we do have a little bit more information exactly what caused the rehost. Apparently, now this is not confirmed, the pics have not been sent over to the Discord server, but we do have alleged confirmation that Luckshot has smashed his desk after getting run out on. The monitor has flipped over, landed on the floor, and broken in a big way. Apparently, half of the monitor completely destroyed, the other half fully working order. So Luckshot will be playing with one eye open for the remainder of this match. And given that 6-0 Purdue lead, maybe the handicap is exactly what Luckshot needs to win this one, but I don't think that that is likely.
Definitely an interesting way to have the match point round begin, as Purdue is at the hill. They're at the peak, ready to begin the downhill descent into the victory of match point round 6-0. A flawless defense from Purdue. An absolutely staggering display of aggression and confidence against this UIC team as we begin the prep phase of round number 7. The sides have switched, the half has been hit, and we will see how UIC fares against the aggression of this Purdue team as they begin their attack against UIC.
This map can indeed play out defensive sided. The other day I casted a match where Cafe played out 5-1 on the first half, 5-1 on the second half, and overtime was in order. But 6-0 is a brutal lead to come back from, a brutal deficit rather, and UIC have their work cut out for them, not only because Purdue have proven to be just extremely strong so far, but Luckshot has now half a monitor, and we can just tell by his movement that he's clearly trying to look out the one side of his screen. No way to know if it's the left or the right side, but Mila will have full vision and take out one, but Luckshot, despite the not being able to see, will blindly take out Hangman the Zofia off the board early.
Already into the trenches of combat is this Purdue team, getting the first pick, but UIC will see their bet and match it as we are now 4-4, approaching 1 minute into the round. Mila getting the first drone into this entry. We'll see a push from top red, taking note of the player over in Pixel, undoubtedly. Let's see how they manage to take this player out of commission, as the Jaeger patch has changed the way that Pixel plays, and Wamai is not in the composition for this UIC's lineup, and that might prove to be a very difficult position for this UIC team to be in, as projectiles are already being sent out. The Goyo shield has been broken, and Basher will still swing it and get a pick onto Poseidon. Luckshot finding another onto Providence, and Mila will trade him out. Now in a 2v3 for this Purdue team with just over a minute left.
Now in a 2v2 after the response from Mila removes Basher from play. It's going to be Kasakudo and Cosmo, the SAS brethren, the responsibility to take down Mila and Smitty. But Mila will deliver the fatal blow to the mute. And now with the series on the line, it's going to be up to Cosmo, the lone smoke, to make this one happen. He's got 3 toxic canisters that will help him delay the push and possibly obscure some angles as he needs to swing to prevent this plant from going down, maybe even in this retake. But Mila now inching their way up all the way into bar. Smitty now fully aware of the position of Cosmo and Cocktail. The crossfire likely to go down, but Cosmo gonna throw in some aggressive of their own. Look for the pick and freezer, not delivered. The diffuser will now hit the floor. First toxic canister will not prove fruitful. The shots come out from Smitty, and Purdue will seal off round number 7 and take the series decisively on Cafe. I believe that is only 4 rounds, so a 14-4 overall split for Purdue in this match.
Decisive indeed, as it is a flawless victory from the Purdue gang, making swift work of UIC on their own map, no less. We absolutely saw the strength and aggression of this Purdue team, and they brought it even harder on their opponent's favored map. So for this UIC team, that had to be devastating to get their hopes pushed up and raised on the Purdue map of Coastline after taking a few rounds against them, just to have it all squashed away under the foot of the aggressive defense and the strong and solid play of Purdue.
Yeah, that was a strong victory that Purdue clearly were ready to put on the table. Really not much to say other than just beautifully done from Purdue. There were moments when they wavered, where UIC looked like they had a little bit of traction, but like Providence said, Purdue shook off the rust, and well, Luckshot lost a monitor because of it. So that has not been confirmed. Keep an eye on the Discord. Would love to see if there's actually any pictures of that, because that would be quite a story. But unfortunate for Luckshot losing that. And as a result, or well, not as a result, but a part of losing this match, you're also going to lose a monitor along the way. And so now Purdue will, of course, face Illinois next week, who also took their victory against the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. So it will be the 2 top teams in this particular division in the Premier Invite League of this winter 2020 season, going head-to-head next week. And as we are, I believe, still waiting for an interview to come through, just kidding. We will not be seeing an interview. It has been a fantastic match. Stock, it has been a pleasure. Thanks for joining me as now you enter the nether dimension. It has been a great night. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to keep an eye on the schedule for when our next game is coming right up. But until then, have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Just like a spark that's breaking out, can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up, babe. Tonight we gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up.
just rather watch me fall. From a quarter mile, I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who